Déclaration de ministre, statements by ministers. The Honourable Minister of Mental Health and Addictions and Associate Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I join you today from the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit as we gather in the House of Commons of Canada to celebrate the life of our trailblazing, courageous, and compassionate former colleague, Alexa McDonough. Our hearts are with her family and friends and a grateful country. Alexa était une vraie pionnière pour les femmes, assumant des positions de leadership en politique, dirigeant le NPD provincialement et nationalement durant des décennies. Alexa a démontré comment il était possible de faire les choses différemment et de tout de même réussir en politique. Yesterday, I talked to my friend Robin Sears, who'd been national director of the NPD in 1974 to 1981. He suggested, and I quote, "It's perhaps important to recall how different was the world that Alexa grew up in than the one we live in today. Alexa's achievements began in community work in the 1970s. They were times of open misogyny in Canada. Women who sought to offer political opinions publicly were subject to broad public disapproval and often attack. There were very few women in any roles in politics." Robin described Alexa as having a personal magic that was based upon empathy and patience. She always had time to reach out and spend time with someone who was hurting. She sensed when someone needed an uplift and a call. Halifax Senator Stan Kutcher remembered Alexa as, quote, "a whirlwind with a purpose." He said, at one overly navel-gazing, endless debating gathering at the university where I worked on the issues of if so, how much, and how should the university interact with the community in which it was cited, she crashed the discussion, took the floor, and demanded that the institution be active, welcoming, and even more reflective in race, sexual orientation, and other dimensions of the population of Canada and our province. "I was delighted," he said. Others, much less so. Alexa and I were both elected to the House of Commons in 1997. I remember fondly as we tried to reconstitute the All-Party Women's Caucus. Alexa gamely trying to work with Deb Gray, and in spite of great policy differences, to find issues that we could work on together, including supporting women parliamentarians around the world. Last year, Stephen Kimber released his powerful and beautifully written biography, Alexa, Changing the Face of Canadian Politics. The book should be compulsory reading for young women across Canada as they could come to know this truly remarkable and inspiring woman. I particularly loved the description of Rosemary Brown's advice to Alexa when she had been asked to run for office. 2 words, you should. I think you should would be Alexa's advice to all young women in Canada, whether it's to run or to get involved in politics and making change for the better. Alexa McDonough believed and exemplified, if you add women, politics changes for the better. Today, we honor the legacy of this tremendous politician who demonstrated how important it is to our democracy that good and great people run for public office. Alexa will continue to inspire us all.
The Honourable Member for West Nova.
Colleagues, it's with great honour and admiration that I rise in this chamber today to highlight the memory, the commitment, and the brilliant political career of the late Alexa McDonough, who passed away on January 15th. First, on behalf of my colleagues in the Conservative Party of Canada, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences to her 2 sons, Justin and Travis, Alexa's family, loved ones, as well as to all federal NDP members and those from Nova Scotia's provincial NDP. Known simply as Alexa across Canada, I unfortunately never had the opportunity to sit with her in the Nova Scotia's legislature while I was MLA. But I certainly had the great pleasure of getting to know her better through meetings and of course through former colleagues and obviously her great legacy in Nova Scotia. Although we were not of the same political party and possibly would have disagreed on many different issues, we would definitely have agreed on important matters for the benefit of all Nova Scotians, as we both care deeply about the well-being of our fellow citizens, our communities, and the needs of our beautiful province. When I reflect on Alexa's career, I always remember her deep commitment towards her constituents, with her determination, and will always value an important point that we have in common, the respect of all our fellow MLAs and MPs from all parties while valuing collaborative work for the common good. Alexa was very close to people and a visionary all at the same time. Elected leader of the NDP in 1980, she became the first woman elected to lead a political party in the provincial legislature at a time, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, that there was no washrooms for female MLAs at the time. She became the first woman to lead a major recognized political party in Canada. After leading Nova Scotia's NDP for 14 years, she led the federal NDP from 1995 to 2003, and then continued to serve in this House of Commons until her retirement in 2008. To this day, Alexa remains the only woman in Canadian history to have led both a provincial and federal party, and she's been a pioneer and distinguished leader and a great source of admiration to women who want to make a great leap into provincial or federal politics. In fact, her strong leadership, dedication, and efforts over the years has helped Nova Scotia and all other Atlantic regions shine from coast to coast to coast. With the magnitude of Alexa's many accomplishments during her career, it's impossible to summarize her legacy in just one short statement. Here's a couple. Though many of us know her through her political work, she's been a force for change since her teens, when she led her youth group to fight the deplorable conditions in Africville, a small urban black community that was located on the south coast of the Bedford Basin near Halifax. She was a social worker, reporter, teacher, and brilliant politician. She fought for healthcare workers in safety improvements, human rights protections, and pay equity. She was also a champion for international development and peace advocacy. It is still difficult, Mr. Speaker, for many women to enter politics. Alexa's strong advocacy for women's contribution in politics, her entire career, her personal involvement in the social community, and her determination in all of her commitments will certainly be remembered and recognized forever as an important gift and a source of inspiration to many women for generations to come. In addition to her career as a politician, Alexa also contributed much to the field of social work, her other profession. She worked in community development in Nova Scotia, social services, in social planning with the City of Halifax, as a policy researcher with the Institute of Public Affairs, and a teacher at the Maritime School of Social Work, now the Social Work School at Dalhousie University. She will always be remembered as a politician with tremendous work ethic, someone who deeply cared about our social workers. You know, Mr. Speaker, when I left the Nova Scotia Legislature in 2019, there were only 19 women on all sides of the floor, compared to the 6 that were there when I was first elected back in 2003. Consider when Alexa was elected, she was the only one. Again, regardless of political stripe, Alexa's contribution to the political landscape is immeasurable and provide a solid foundation for the involvement and recognition of the contribution of women in politics. Alexa, thank you for your contribution and public service that have greatly improved the lives of many. You will be deeply missed. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
L'honorable député de Manicouagan.
Monsieur le Président, c'est une lourde perte pour la Nouvelle-Écosse et le Canada que le décès d'Alexa McDonough, qui nous a quittés à l'âge de 77 ans le 15 janvier dernier. Mais surtout une lourde perte pour toutes les femmes qui s'impliquent en politique pour améliorer le sort des plus vulnérables de nos communautés. Au nom du Bloc québécois, Je tiens à offrir mes condoléances aux proches, à la famille et à la communauté d'Alexa McDonough. Je transmets également ses vœux à sa famille politique, le NPD, dont elle a notamment été chef en cette Chambre de 1995 à 2003. Travailleuse sociale de métier et de cœur, Alexa McDonough a mené d'importants combats, entre autres pour l'accès à l'assurance-emploi et contre la tentation d'équilibrer les finances publiques sur le dos des travailleurs les plus vulnérables. Un combat qui demeure d'actualité aujourd'hui, notamment pour les gens qui vivent la mer, dans sa région comme dans la mienne et dans l'Est du Québec. Elle s'est battue contre des coupes dans le financement fédéral des soins de santé par les libéraux de Jean Chrétien. Un autre combat brûlant d'actualité aujourd'hui pour tous les Québécois et les Québécoises, mais aussi l'ensemble des Canadiens. Mais on se rappellera surtout qu'elle s'est battue pour la place des femmes en politique. Madame McDonough est devenue la deuxième femme à être élue chef d'un parti après Thérèse Casgrain lorsqu'elle prit la tête du NPD de Nouvelle-Écosse en 1980. Elle deviendra l'année suivante la toute première femme chef de parti à gagner son élection et à siéger dans un parlement au Canada. Elle s'est tenue debout en tant que seule femme, mais aussi seule membre de son parti devant une culture politique hostile au leadership féminin. Dans une assemblée législative qui, et c'est révélateur, on le répétera, n'avait alors pas de toilette pour les femmes. On part de loin, Monsieur le Président. En 1995, Alexa McDonough passe au fédéral et prend les rênes d'un NPD affaibli pour lui donner un nouveau souffle, notamment dans les maritimes. À la Chambre des communes, comme à l'Assemblée législative de la Nouvelle-Écosse, elle doit à nouveau prendre sa place avec détermination en tant que femme dans un univers d'hommes. Elle doit essuyer les moqueries d'adversaires politiques. Toujours les mêmes, les classiques. Trop émotive, trop douce, retourne à ton tricot. On les entend encore, ces idioties, nous, les femmes, en politique. On les entend encore, mais on les entend moins, grâce à des pionnières comme Alexa McDonough, qui ont prouvé que non seulement nous sommes les bienvenus en politique, non seulement nous avons notre place ici, en cette Chambre, mais nous pouvons parler d'une voix forte, d'une voix fière et même d'une voix de chef en prenant la défense des intérêts des gens de nos communautés. Alors, au nom du Bloc québécois, merci Alexa McDonough pour votre engagement politique au nom des gens de chez vous, devant le gouvernement du Canada, jamais l'inverse. Et au nom, j'ose le présumer, des 103 femmes élues en ce moment en cette Chambre, merci de votre bienveillante ténacité dans la lutte contre les préjugés.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of all New Democrats, we express our condolences to Alexa McDonough's family and loved ones. This is a loss, not just for New Democrats, though, not just for Alexa's family. This is a loss for all Canadians. Alexa, as you've heard from so many people, was known as Alexa across Canada, was someone who fought her whole life for social justice. She championed women in politics and never backed down from a challenge. She wasn't afraid to make people uncomfortable, and she wasn't afraid to make it clear that for women to have a place in politics, she knew that they had to fight, and she fought hard. 41 years ago today, she became the leader of the Nova Scotia NDP. And in doing so, she became the first woman to lead a major political party in Canada. And sometimes it's something we say, but to really understand the impact of that, she broke barriers for people in a profound way. She broke barriers so that other people could dream big and do the same. I can't imagine the impact. I think about all the people that have been touched by her leadership, her pioneering. And I think about the fact that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for people like Alexa McDonough, with the fact that she broke barriers. But more than me, I think about the impact that she's had on the lives of so many women. I've had the honor of meeting Alexa a number of times, particularly when I visited Nova Scotia. The last time was in 2019. And when she walked into the room during a campaign event, even though she had already given so much of her life to politics and to social justice, she wasn't done. She still showed up to provide her support. But I just saw the people in the room light up when she walked in. The cheer for her was deafening. And I saw all the women that looked up to Alexa and saw someone that made them feel like they belonged. That is what Alexa did. She made so many people realize that they belong. And she was a trailblazer in so many ways. She was ahead of her time in fighting for the inclusion of all people, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation. She was someone who believed very fundamentally in this principle that everyone belongs. Alexa McDonough a consacré sa vie à la justice sociale, a défendu les femmes en politique et n'a jamais reculé devant un défi. Elle est devenue la première femme à diriger un parti politique majeur au Canada. Elle a surmonté les obstacles pour que d'autres puissent faire de même. I just want to acknowledge the specific ways and some of the contributions. There's so many, and people have laid out some of those contributions already. But I just want to talk about some of the specific things that Alexa contributed to Canadians and to Nova Scotians. She brought specific awareness to the challenges faced by the Black community in Africville, community in Nova Scotia. She fought hard to overhaul Halifax's welfare system. She negotiated the first maternity leave in the history of Halifax. And she played a pivotal role in advancing women's rightful place in Canadian politics. Alexa had the growing determination to build a better Canada and make it more fair for all Canadians. Her story is truly one of dedication, determination, and decency. She was a remarkable trailblazer, an activist, a social worker, an educator, a feminist, and a politician. And perhaps most significantly, a leader fighting to make life better for people. Repose en paix, Alexa. Tu nous manques. Rest in power, Alexa. We'll miss you. Merci.
I believe we have a point of order for the member of Saanich Gulf Island.
Mr. Speaker, I had the honor of being Alexa's friend for 4 decades. I request unanimous consent to allow me to speak and pay tribute to her legacy.
To the honourable member moving the motion, will please say nay. I'm afraid we have a nay in the chamber. I understand that there is an agreement to observe a moment of silence in memory of our former colleague, Alexa McDonough. I now invite the honourable members to rise.